So God's been telling me to talk about my dad on here, so that's what I'm doing. If you hear stuff outside, there's a storm coming through, but as I've said before, my dad is no longer here due to his addiction. And that's what I'm going to talk about first. His addiction. He started using when my mom was pregnant for me. And just like any addiction, it got worse. For those of you who don't know what addiction is like, or what it's like to have someone in your family that struggles with addiction, it changes a person significantly. It changes a person who is sweet, kind-hearted, and wouldn't hurt a fly to someone you don't even recognize. Someone who gets ticked off at every little thing. Someone who, just, they are completely the opposite. And that's what happened to my dad. Like, my dad was so sweet. He was kind. He was a friend to everyone. And, my dad, he was, for the most part, what you would call a functional addict. He still worked, he was still up, he still did things around the house. He still cooked and stuff like that. So for the most part, he was what you would call a functional addict, meaning they can do stuff, they can go to work, they can cook, they can take care of people, they can take care of their family, stuff like that. Just because they're a functional addict does not mean their addiction is not bad. And I remember one night, my sister and I were watching Ghostbusters with my dad, because that was one of our favorite movies to watch with him. And my sister went up to go use the bathroom during a commercial break, and he just started dumping like Tums in your mouth, which he did have heartburn, but for heartburn you take one Tum, like you take one of them. You don't just dump like 100 in your mouth. But and I remember he'd always have some type of medicine bottle on him, or something. But his addiction got worse over the years. And by the time I was 11, there was a night that I wasn't feeling the best. I wanted to go home. So I called my mom, okay? And I told her, hey, I want to come home. And not to mention, my sister and I had gotten in a fight that night. And it wasn't anything big. It was just a little disagreement. Because, we're sisters, we're gonna fight. However, I wanted to go home. So I called my mom. I said, hey, my sister and I got in a fight. I'm not feeling the best, and I just want to come home. She said, okay. Now mind you, from where my dad lived and where we live, it's like 25 to 30 minutes away. Okay? So she said, okay. We went get ice cream and we were almost home, but we're coming to get you. And my mom called my dad saying, hey, I'm coming at Madison. She's not feeling the best, and she wants to come home. He said, no, it's my weekend. She's not going home. She said, okay. She's coming home if she wants to come home. And my dad, he didn't have any parental rights to me. He got them stripped due to the decisions he made because of his addiction, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But for preference, he had no parental rights to me. whether he saw me or not was up to my mom. And then once I got older, she left it up to me. So, she said she wants to come home, so we're coming to get her. Well, he walks in my room and he said, "You told your mom you wanted to go home?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "It's my weekend. You don't want to stay, you know. I mean, my girlfriend's coming back tomorrow. I know you enjoy spending time with her. You know," it's just like, and by this point, he had hung up on my mom. And he's trying to talk me into staying. So he calls his girlfriend and asks if she'll come spend the night to see if she can get me to stay. Well, she had work the next morning, and so she couldn't, but my mom called me. She said, "Hey, you still want to come home, right?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Your daddy told me you didn't want to." I said, "No, I want to come home." I said, "He's currently on the phone with his girlfriend trying to see if she'll come spend the night, so I'll stay. But I want to come home." So she called my dad. She said, "Hey, we're still on the way to come get her. She wants to come home." And he said, "No, she doesn't. She told me she wants to stay." So he goes to my room, and my mom's on mute. And I'm sorry, my mom asked me, she said, "Do you want to come home or not? Do you want to come home or do you want to stay?" She said, "Because if we get there and you want to stay, it's okay that you stay, but I'm going to be mad that we came this way to come get you and you want to, and we find out when we get there that you want to stay." I said, "No, I told you I wanted to go home." And because my dad had constantly told her that I said I wanted to stay over there, and she told him, "I want to hear it from my child's mouth." And this whole time, my dad's trying to sit here and tell me, "Tell your mom you want to stay here, you know, just stay here. You're going home, you know, tomorrow afternoon. Just stay here." But I wanted to go home that night. Well, fast forward, they get there. It's my mom, my stepdad, my sister, and my niece, and my brother. Okay? They're all in the car. And because they had went get ice cream, like I said. But, so my mom goes up to the door, she knocks, and my dad answers. And he said, "No." She said, "I want my child." She said, "Give me my child. She wants to come home with me. She's coming home with me. Give me my child." He said, "No." So she tries to get in the door to get to me. And he tried, like, her fingers are in the door frame. And he was trying to shut the glass door. If he would have succeeded, he would have probably broken her fingers. If not worse. So they're sitting here doing that. And mind you, my grandfather was not home. My grandmother was trying to keep me out of sight. I was not allowed to go to where my mom could see me from the front door. Or from the back door. And so she was trying to keep me to where my mom couldn't see me. And my dad was, at the moment, trying to apparently break my mom's fingers. Because he was trying to shut the door, and her fingers were in the door frame, trying to pull the door open. And they're sitting here doing that for like 15 minutes. My mom tells my stepdad to call the cops. Well, he tells my stepsister to call the cops, and he calls me. He said, "Walk out that house right now." I said, "I can't." He said, "Why can't you? They got 2 doors." I said, "Yeah, but I'm not allowed to leave the hallway I'm not allowed in the living room, which is where the other door was. I'm not allowed in the living room right now because they're trying to keep me either in my room or in the hallway to where Mama can't see me. I said, but if they don't let me out of here within the next 5 minutes, tell my stepsister to meet me at my bedroom window. Because I'm just going to climb out the window. And not even 2 minutes later, my dad comes get me. He says, Maddie, your mom's here. And here's the part I regret most about that night is when I was walking out the door, I told my dad I hated him. And that I wish I never had to see him again. And mind you, I didn't go into like really, really specific detail because there's a lot more that happened that night. Because the night started off really good, but at the beginning of the night, my dad had drank an entire 6-pack by himself, or maybe it was like a 12-pack. And he was getting scary because he gets really like short-tempered. Like, he's never put his hands on us, but when he was drunk, he would always look for a reason to yell. He would always look for a reason to get angry. And so he found a reason. He ended up drinking his last beer. And he blamed my sister and his girlfriend for hiding it, when reality is he just drank it. I tried to explain to him that he drank it. He said, no, they hid it. Go ask your sister where they hid it. So I went inside knowing I watched him open that last beer. I said, hey, Daddy's saying that you and his girlfriend hid his last beer. Did y'all? Yes or no? I could have sworn I saw him open it, but she said no, he drank it. I said, okay. Told him he drank it. He was still convinced they hid it, so I went and told my sister. She said, okay, go in the room. And she played softball, so she had bats all over the house because we were sometimes home alone. If my dad and my grandpa and my grandma had to work, we were sometimes home alone once we got a little older. So for protection purposes, she had her old softball bats hidden around the house and outside because she was in softball for years. So she had those hidden around the room. She had, I think, 2 in the room, maybe. One for me, one for her. Things like that. And these were strictly for protection purposes. She said, okay, he's drunk. Go in the room. Lock the door. I have the key in my pocket. Lock the door. Grab my bat that I have. Grab the bat I have for you. And, get in your bed. Put the bat under your covers, but still have it in your hands. And bring me the one that I hid for me. She went outside. And he was yelling at her, and I think she was yelling back. And that's all I saw because I was in my room. Because I ended up going in my room. And that's when I called my mom. Okay? So that's what happened before. And so I ended up going home with my mom. And my sister's boyfriend was staying with us at the time because this was during COVID. And he wasn't supposed to be coming home. So we had locked all the doors because I was scared. And, I was trying to go to sleep in the living room because I was scared. And, so I was in the living room and I was trying to go to sleep. Well, I had my dog with me, and, Sorry, I'm trying not to cry right now, so just give me a second. But, and all of a sudden I hear the door try to open. Like, I hear the door, someone trying to open the door. And the way because we have a glass sliding door, and the way it's locked is we had to, because the lock is broken, we cut a piece of CVC pipe to where it locks it. So I heard someone trying to open the door. I'm terrified, and my dog's barking, and so I run in my mom and my stepdad's room, and they're not sleeping. It's really not too terribly late, maybe like 10 o'clock on a weekend, so they weren't sleeping. But I said, someone's trying to get in the house, and I was scared. Maybe my dad had called the cops or something. And tried to make my mom look like the bad guy or something, because he's done stuff like that before. Like, my dad has legit called CPS on my mom before. Nothing happened, because once the CPS worker saw my mom and knew and my mom knew who called him, she said, quick question, is this like a jealous ex situation? She said, yeah. She said, okay. So nothing happened with that visit, but stuff like that has happened before. Only once, but I was not putting it past him, because he was high as a freaking kite and he was drunk that night. So, lo and behold, it's my sister's boyfriend coming, the one that wasn't supposed to be coming home. Well, when my mom and my stepdad opened it, they saw my sister's boyfriend. And he said, I tried to call her, but, she must have been, and meanwhile, now everybody's up, except for my niece and my brother, but me, my mom, my stepdad, and my stepsister, we're all in the living room. Now, and I was standing by my stepsister behind my mom and my stepdad, and my stepdad was the one opening the door. Well, he saw me crying because I was terrified, because my dad had traumatized me that night, and then someone was trying to get in our house, and just a lot had went on that night. So I was terrified and I was crying, and he ended up coming inside, and he asked him and my sister went to lay down to go to sleep, and he said, what's wrong with Madison? Why was she crying when I walked in? She said, because you scared her, and then she told him everything that happened. She said, and then you weren't supposed to be coming home, so we locked the doors, and we weren't expecting anyone to try and get in, so you scared her. He said, oh, and he felt terrible. He did. He felt absolutely terrible about it afterwards, but yeah, so, and then I didn't talk to my dad again. I blocked him. I blocked my grandmother for a little bit. I ended up unblocking her, but I blocked my dad, and I didn't see them afterwards. I didn't see my grandmother until my dad's funeral after that, but and then a few months later, my mom tells me that my dad attempted to commit I'm not going to say I'm trying to be careful with the words that I choose right now, because I don't want this video to get taken down. But he was trying to commit, and he was in rehab for it. And so he never spent the full time in rehab, because he was an adult. Legally, they could not keep him. If he wanted to leave, he was allowed to. But he never spent the full rehab time. So he left early, and a few months after that, my Aunt Misty, my aunt had called my mom. She said, hey, Madison's dad died. He passed away last night. I'm not trying to say any names on here because, like, except for mine, because y'all already know mine, but, you know, for privacy purposes. But, and, you know, he passed away late last night, early this morning-ish. We'll keep y'all updated on the funeral. Well, at first, when my mom saw my grandmother's name on her phone pop up, she's like kind of wondering what the heck happened. I personally thought that he had just gotten arrested again, because it wouldn't be the first time, nor the second, nor the third. He had gotten arrested quite a lot during my life. Okay, there was quite a lot of times he was arrested. So I thought he was just getting arrested again. No big deal. Well, I end up hearing my mom, and we were on the way back from my niece's doctor's appointment. We had gotten Burger King. I love Burger King. Okay, we had gotten Burger King for breakfast. And I end up hearing my mom say, how am I supposed to break this to my child? And that's when I knew he wasn't arrested, because that's nothing new. That would be nothing new. And so I started saying, what happened? Why is my aunt calling you from my mom's phone? What's going on? And my mom ended up saying, your dad died. And now she's horrible at breaking any type of bad news to anyone and anything like that. So she said it a bit ruder, but she said, your dad died. And I just kind of froze, and so did she. And she realized what she did. She said, oh. She was just like, that was an oh crap moment. All right, that was, you know. So we get home, and I run inside. Now, we had lived here for a few months at that point. We had lived here for a few months by that point, and I had the same room I have now, and I had never used my lock before then. I didn't have a reason to. I've never been a kid that had anything to hide. My parents knew about everything I did. They know everything in my room. I have nothing to hide. Still to this point, I have nothing to hide. I mean, my door is open right now as I'm filming this, but I came in my room and I locked my door because I just wanted to be alone. I've never really been one to cry in front of people. I've never been one to do any of that. Breakdown, nothing. I am typically the strong one. And I just am. There's very few people I will cry in front of. And so I just wanted to be alone. Well, my mom calls my Mimi because she doesn't really know what to do. She's like, hey, Madison's dad died last night or early this morning, and I kind of just screwed up the way I told her, and now she's in her room crying. She didn't eat. And for those of y'all that don't know, one, it was Burger King. Okay, two, it was food. Okay, I love food. So and if we get Burger King, it's rare that I will not eat my food, because we're just not people that eat out that often. So I didn't eat my food. I put it on the counter. I came in my room. She's like, and she's not eating. I don't know what to do. She's like, okay, without trying to overstep, do you want, because my Mimi lost her dad before, like, she lost her dad, so she kind of knows what to do, like how you know? So she's like, okay, without overstepping, do you want her to come spend the night at my house? Because my aunt was over there, you know, with my aunt and her. I said, you know what? Yeah, because I don't know how to deal with this. I've never been good at comforting. You know, it's always been kind of awkward for me. So actually, yeah. And I think she would enjoy spending time with her aunt too. Because my aunt is my best friend. To this, like, has been my whole life. And to this day, my aunt is my best friend. And so my mom comes knock on the door. So I open it. And my eyes are so red at this point because I am just bawling my eyes out. And it's been like 30 minutes. So mom comes in here and she said, hey, do you want to go spend the night at your Mimi's tonight with your aunt and everybody? Like, and just, I said, yeah. So, I'm packing and I am still bawling my eyes out at this point. Well, my brother wakes up and he didn't know why I was crying. He heard me crying coming out his room and he said, your crying woke me up. I said, oh, sorry, not in the mood to argue. He said, okay, you're not arguing, what's wrong? What happened? I said, my dad died. He said, oh. And so I pack and me, my mom, my sister, and my niece, we get in the car and we stop at Smoothie King to try and cheer me up. My favorite smoothie, hands down, is Banana Boat from Smoothie King. So he got me, but at that point, it was the Angel Food. I got an adult small Angel Food, and then we got my aunt one as well. We both got the same size, same flavor, same thing. So an adult small Angel Food, and well, she was, she was trying to cheer me up. She was acting goofy, and she ended up knocking my smoothie out of my hands. Okay, well, that thing splattered everywhere, all over the floor, all over the walls, and somehow it got on the freaking roof. So, and she's like, I am so sorry. She said, do you want one? I said, no, it's fine. I'm not really, my stomach hurts anyway. And I ended up going in my aunt's room and I called my sister to talk to her. I asked her to check on her because I wanted to check on my sister. So I ended up calling her and checking on her. And she was trying to calm me down because I started crying. Her mom was trying to calm me down, but it just wasn't working. So we ended up hanging up and I ended up going to my aunt and my Mimi. And they ended up being able to calm me down. So I stayed there for the night and I came home the next day. And and then the next week was the funeral. The funeral wasn't that bad for me. I didn't really cry during the funeral. I started bawling whenever they closed the casket though. Because it's like, holy crap, this is actually happening. They're closing the casket. And, no, this is real. And my Mimi, my aunt, and my Barrette had went with me, had went to the funeral, and so did my sister. And then I have my dad's whole side of the family there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like, I wasn't crying during the funeral until they closed the casket, like I said, and then after I went home and I just bawled my freaking eyes out. And no matter what people say, there's no time limit on grief. Like, as y'all can tell, I'm wanting to cry filming this video. There's no time limit on grief. People can say, because it's been, this July will make 5 years that my dad has passed. And I still want to cry. a lot of the time I still want to cry. But I'm someone who will bottle it up until I cannot take it anymore. That is one of my toxic traits. I will bottle it up till I physically cannot take it anymore, and the tears start coming down by themselves to where I'm at the point to where I cannot stop it. But this is the best way I can describe grief. And this will be my last point in this video. But grief is like a box with a button, okay? And at first, the box is tiny, okay? At first, the box is tiny. So, and there's a ball in the box. Well, at first, with the box being tiny, the ball is constantly hitting that button. Okay, the grief is the button. Just hitting that button constantly. And then over time, the box gets bigger. And while the ball now has more places to roam, it eventually comes back to that button. And when the ball hits that button, even if it's been years, it'll feel like it happened that day. It'll feel just as bad as it did the day it happened. And there's nothing you can do about it, okay? The grief, it'll always hurt. Like, some people say time heals. You know, it'll hurt less with time. Not really. It'll get easier to accept and easier to deal with and easier to live your day-to-day life. But when that ball hits that button, it feels like it hasn't even been 24 hours. But don't do like I did. Don't bottle it up. Sit with it. Okay? Because I didn't have the friends I have now to just make me sit with it. And now, when I think about it, when I'm like this, because trust me, my friends will probably be watching this. They make me sit with it. They don't let me just bottle it up. Trust me, it hurts. Just sit with it. Just do it. Because it'll be so much better in the long run if you do. I love you guys.